Do subscribe to Ekeeda channel and press bell icon to get updates about latest engineering, HSC and IIT JEE main and advanced videos.
Hello students, today we are studying chapter human respiration. In that we are studying topic respiratory volume. Now sometimes you inhale oxygen very fast, sometimes you exhale very fast, sometimes it's normal breathing. What are all these things? Today we'll be studying the respiratory volume in detail, the different forms of respiration. Whenever you are respiring in a normal state, your respiration is very slow at a normal pace. But whenever you are doing yoga, your respiratory volume or respiration speed increases or decreases. Whenever you are running on treadmill or just walking or exercising or jogging, that time your breathing increases. So how does it affect the body, and what are these different forms of taking in oxygen and releasing out carbon dioxide? All these different forms are termed as respiratory volume. Now, pulmonary volume could be said as the amount of oxygen that you're taking in by your nostrils inside your respiratory passage, and it could be divided into number of types. The first one is tidal volume, the second one is inspiratory reserve volume, and third one is vital capacity. Now if I talk about tidal volume, it could be said as the amount of air. Now this air could be mixture of carbon dioxide plus oxygen that is inspired or that is taken in or expired, removed out at a normal space. Suppose you are standing and breathing, so that could be told as a tidal volume. Now there's something called as inspiratory reserve volume. Let us break that word, inspiratory reserve volume. When I say inspiratory, it means to take in, and when I say reserve, it means to store. So extra volume of air that you inspire in, especially when you are doing yoga exercising or you are doing certain asanas, at that time your breathing space is controlled by certain parameter. You concentrate on your breathing and you do it a little forceful manner. That could be said as inspiratory reserve volume. Now if you're breathing forcefully and you're breathing extra amount of oxygen in that span of time, obviously that air mixture will have oxygen plus carbon dioxide, so there will be a lot more amount of carbon dioxide that will be present in that amount of inspired air, and that extra amount of carbon dioxide which you have inhaled extra forcefully has to be removed out or exhaled out. That is termed as expiratory reserve volume. And finally, vital capacity. Now vital capacity is a summation of inspiratory reserve volume, tidal volume and expiratory reserve volume. Respiratory volumes. Now, pulmonary volume or the complete volume of air in the lungs, which could be divided into 4 different categories depending upon whether they fill the lung completely or they just fill partially. For example, whenever you are breathing or doing your yoga asanas, that time your lungs are filled in completely. You do forceful breathing. Whereas when you're doing normal partial breathing, when you're walking or just sitting at a particular place and doing some other work and not concentrating on your breathing activity, Now, one of the four types is tidal volume. When I talk about tidal volume, it means volume of air inspired or taken in or expired or removed out involuntary in each normal breath. So if you're standing and just reading something, you're doing tidal volume, the normal pace of your breathing, which is not at all concentrated on or looked after on. You don't concentrate on the amount of oxygen you're trying to take in or the amount of carbon dioxide that will be exhaled out. It's just normal breathing. Expiratory reserve volume is the volume of air which is expired out or exhaled out. Now, expiratory reserve volume will always include the amount of carbon dioxide or CO2 that's removed out from your system. The next type is inspiratory reserve volume. When I say inspiratory, it means taken in. Reserve means the excess amount. So IRV could be between 2500 to 3000 ml of air that is taken in. And the extra volume of air that you basically take whenever you're doing forceful breathing, which is inspired by forceful inhalation or breathing, is beyond normal tidal value. Your tidal volumes are such which you're doing while sitting, talking, wherever you're not concentrating on breathing. And when you're concentrating on breathing at that time, your inspiratory reserve volume or IRV would be max. Now, this happens especially during your deepest possible inspiration. Whenever you're concentrating and breathing, at that point of time, your breathing mechanism is faster. Whenever you're jogging, exercising, at that time, your breathing mechanism is faster. And at that time, inspiratory reserve volume is maximum, which is good. And especially in the mornings, it can increase if you're doing exercises. The third type is vital capacity, and vital capacity is the summation or addition of inspiratory reserve volume, tidal volume, and expiratory reserve volume. Now, vital capacities can be said as the maximum amount of oxygen that an individual can breathe in and the maximum amount of CO2 that can be removed by an individual. Now, vital capacity can also be said as the capacity of your lungs to take in oxygen and remove out carbon dioxide. It is always said that if you try and increase your vital capacity, your lungs will function in a better manner or in a better fashion. Also, your heart rate would increase, you would sweat a lot, and you will eventually break down fats at a faster pace or at a faster rate. Eventually, your metabolism, anabolism, catabolism will always be fit and perfect if your breathing capacity or breathing rates are better. All the respiratory disorders, whether it is asthma, laryngitis, pharyngitis, could be cured if the breathing rate is maintained and at proportionate. Students, in this part of the chapter, we did studied about different types of respiratory volumes. I hope you all are very clear about this. Thank you.